Well, for me, this fight is now taking place just outside of what I viewed as the respectable window in which it should happen. February 17th is, barring any funny business or injuries, going to give us our first undisputed heavyweight champion in almost a quarter century. Now, Usyk will be 37 come fight night, and I suspect this is the statistic that will be most highlighted in the build-up. We can't pretend that is an ideal age for somebody of his style. Yeah, we know he looks after himself. He seems to be a clean liver. It's going to be meticulous preparation. But when you rely on the fleet feet, the reflexes, the changing of angles, the back and the forth, the constant tweaking of range, the pace, the stamina in what is going to be a tough fight, possibly a dirty fight, the skeptic in you can't help but feel that, well, if this does become a very demanding fight, will the reserves not be there that may have been there perhaps when you were 33, 34? Yes, we know Fury is also technically going to be older, and some people even think he's shot now. It's a strong word, but many people drop that one after Ngannou dropped Fury in his last fight. But Fury has the kind of style and the grapple game that many have suspect he's going to try on the shorter Usyk that will kind of pardon his technical shortcomings. If he is still kind of lacking in speed, in timing, he can maybe brush over these problems, certainly more so than Usyk can, who you feel has got to construct this careful, dedicated game plan where there's less room for error. Now, to kind of almost contradict what I just said, even though Fury will be the favourite, I think, come fight night, it might not be by a lot, and odds do tend to shorten as fights draw nearer, but it's more to do with the narrative that bigger is better. What the heavyweight division has told us over the past 20 plus years. From Lennox Lewis defeating Evander Holyfield, to the Klitschko brothers, to Tyson Fury ushering in a new era that has the likes of Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. The heavyweight division has kept telling us that bigger is better, that size gets rewarded. And because more average-sized talents like Alexander Povetkin and David Haye failed to beat the top dog, that just really solidified this philosophy that you have to basically be 6'5 plus if you're going to be the top dog. But for me, the real reason why so many people buy into this idea that the giants are here to rule forever has more to do with the dearth of truly outstanding averaged size heavyweights. The last one was Evander Holyfield, and he was a bit past his prime by the time he lost to Lennox Lewis. And furthermore, all this rhetoric of Usyk being a small guy, for those who never bothered to acknowledge the fact he was pretty much always the bigger guy in his cruiserweight days, and that Tyson Fury 6'9" statistic just doesn't hold up when you stencil it over reality, you got to realise Usyk isn't small at all. If anything, he's just a bit above average. When I saw him go up against Joshua in that first fight, and they get in their stances, which is when you can get a proper gauge for the first time, how big they actually are to each other, I was surprised with how chunky Usyk looked, the fact he was broader than Joshua. I think it really comes down to how physically strong is Usyk. Does he have sharp enough punches to deter Fury when he inevitably makes his aggressive move in? And does he have the overall pace and stamina, the reserves, that when this fight becomes taxing, is he able to hold him to this high-level technical boxing match and resist the mugging? I've also got to be a bit mindful, though, of this possible bias, which I think a lot of people might share, which is we want to see Usyk beat Fury. Fury has gone from kind of amusing to crass, to unnecessary at times. It's lost that Ali tongue-in-cheek vibe. And Usyk is just naturally funny. He doesn't have to force anything. We like the way he conducts himself. And on a deeper level, perhaps because we've been messed around so much, and we still haven't had two of the key fights, Wilder Joshua and Fury Joshua, wouldn't it be funny if just Usyk becomes undisputed here as well, and then just says see you later and rides off into the sunset? But I'm under no illusions here. I know that Tyson Fury, come fight night, whatever's left of him, is going to be refined to a peak. His brother Shane rightfully observed he is a guy who fights to the level of his opponent, and he usually always has a bad performance and then a good one, which spells danger for Oleksandr Usyk. If the early fencing, as a lot of people hypothesize, favours the Ukrainian, well then at some point Tyson is going to inject that rough and tumble game plan. And that is going to be very hard to resist when the fight hits double figures. But what do we all make of this one? Is the fight going to go ahead? Is there going to be a rematch regardless of how one-sided it might be? Could we see the classic draw to set up the rematch if it's remotely close? And who have you got for this historic fight?